People Investigates dropped a new documentary on HBO Max detailing an online cult ran by Rashad Jamal. The cult gained a massive following during the pandemic and has been linked to missing followers and followers carrying out horrific violence. Listen, after sitting not only through the Nature Boy documentary on Hulu, but also I sat and watched the Hood Horrors, I believe like 46-part documentary on him. And it had me like, how did I not know anything about this? Like it never crossed my algorithm. And I guess I gotta thank God for that. So I decided to do this little series called Things I Didn't Know Happened During My Lifetime. I don't know, we still working on the title. I'm Baz B, and on this channel, I like to talk about scripted television, documentaries, and pop culture moments. If you enjoy these things, please consider subscribing to the channel. Now, let's get into this documentary. So, the documentary it follows like 3 people who had directly been affected by their families falling victim to his teachings. I'm going to talk about them individually since their stories really didn't involve each other. Well, Ruben's and the missing individual stories do kind of intertwine with each other. I think we should discuss Darcel's story first since she was there when Jamal first started the University of Cosmic Intelligence. But she didn't get there like the rest. She kind of was trapped into it. She talks about how she moved to Atlanta to follow her dreams of singing and acting. Shortly after going after her dreams, her husband decided that he wanted a divorce. And this left her a single mother of 3. After being invited to check out this small record label, she was introduced to Rashad Jamal. He was rapping during this time. They started working with each other, and the relationship, it went from being just business to a little more personal. Early in the relationship, Darcel finds out that he had this domestic violence offense that he was charged for. But she ignored it. She was like, oh, he done matured over the years. He changed. We good. This reminds me of this show on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, about these men who has been charged for domestic assault. And I mean, some of them are very brutal. And it's this therapist, and she's believing that she can rehabilitate them. And once they're done with the program, they not going to commit assault anymore. Yeah, I don't believe in none of that. Baby, if you hit someone in your past and beat them down to the ground, baby, I'm going to believe that you're going to do me the same, and I'm going to need you to get out my face. But let me know down in the comment section, would you date somebody with a domestic violence charge? I need to know. Back to the story. She became pregnant, and she birthed his first child. They had a little boy. Jamal, he was good. He was an awesome father. He was a family man. Everything is nice. The pandemic ended up happening. And the people are stuck in the house. You keep hearing people are dying from this. We didn't really have a clear understanding on how you get it or how to protect yourself from it. Because y'all really went out there buying up all that toilet paper and dressing up like this, thinking it was going to help. Then the killing of George Floyd happened. And this shook the Black community, and many were searching for answers. Rashad, seeing all this, he wanted to cause a change, and he was going to start teaching Black people about their history, the one they never taught us in school. So seeing how passionate he was about it, Darcel, she encouraged him to, hey, put it online. And he did. And it started gaining traction. And he names his group the University of Cosmic Intelligence. And long story short, he basically was Nature Boy 2.0 with his teachings. He was just using a different African tribe's teachings. He started marketing himself as this spiritual influencer. And with the followers that he had across social media networks, he became monetized. I mean, he came up during the perfect storm. People are scared, people are looking for answers, and they are stuck in the house with a lot of time on their hands. And I guess he was speaking what spoke to them. We go from African teachings to crystals and copper wire at this point. Things were going good at first, though. But of course, crazy people are going too crazy. He started teaching on crystals and wearing copper to conduct energy. He would tell them to meditate and that we need to be more self-sustainable and live off grid. Sounds familiar, huh? It's like they read maybe 2 books and draw in their core audience with that information. But instead of reading more books, it was like they mixed social media clips and bullshit together to sound smart, and unfortunately, people believed them. Darcel, she said, hey, I was pretty supportive until the teaching started to get a little too weird for me. So I was like, I'm going to let that be his own little thing, and I'm going to just tend to these children. His teaching started turning more into talks of people being clones, and then he started calling himself God. And that's when she realized, oh my God, this man done made a cult. She would speak on how he would make them sit for hours and listen to his lessons. Yes, even down to the baby. They had the baby in the high chair, trapped, with the phone in front of his face, watching the teachings. And if they wanted this to stop or they didn't want to pay attention, he would become aggressive about it. She would speak on not being able to leave the house unless he gave her permission, and she speaks on an incident where she did leave the house and he attacked her. While feeling the aggression in her home, she also sees that his content took a violent turn. He would constantly teach on this war that his followers were going against, and he would encourage them to enact on this violence. So now we got this crazed man with this loyal following being told to do violent acts, and that's what they did, as we have 2 killings from people who were linked to this cult. So we got the one guy. He'd been so indoctrinated into this cult that he really believed that his family were clones, and he almost decapitated his mom with a samurai sword, killing her and wounding his younger brother. He was charged with insanity. Another follower of his lured a young college couple back to her campground saying that she needed a jump for her car. When they got there, she held them at gunpoint and robbed them. So the male, he went for his gun and he shot her in the leg. She in turn shot him in the back and he would succumb to his injuries. The police searched the campground and came across a 5-year-old boy holding a shotgun and his mother hiding in the woods. She is one pitiful person. Because how the hell you gonna leave the baby behind? The 2 has been charged and sentenced to 35 years. Even though their social media accounts are linked to the cult, Jamal was never held guilty for their crimes legally. Darcel recounts the time she walked in on him having this conversation with her 15-year-old daughter. So she asked what they were talking about. He said nothing, so she left it at that. She went to go check on another child. When she got to her son's room, she turned around and saw him point a gun at her head. He was yelling at her. He was threatening her because she asked him what they was talking about. And he said he would kill everybody in this house. He ended up leaving right after that incident, and that was the last she saw of him. While trying to pick up the pieces in her life and household, Darcel's 11-year-old daughter came to her with shocking news. She says how one day her daughter came to her and informed her of the inappropriate actions he had did with her. She immediately started the investigation process, but there was one problem. The police could not track him. Since leaving the home, she haven't heard anything from him. Now, mind you, they got that little boy together. While evading the police, Rashad Jamal is still recording and posting videos. The news of his charges started to circulate online, and while some of the people did leave the group, many stayed and even was on his side. And they would go on Darcel's YouTube page and harass her constantly. And yes, it's our usual suspects, a bunch of dusty-looking men that probably don't get no play, that is caping for a crazy abuser. After 2 years on the road, Jamal was found not too far outside of Atlanta with his new wife, a single mother of 2 small little girls. He was arrested on child molestation and child cruelty. Jamal was offered a plea deal, but he declined it. He decided he wanted to go to trial. He would encourage his followers to come out to the courthouse in support of him. Some did show up and they would meditate outside, but not nearly as many as you would have expected since he has such a large following. And the trial itself really didn't get much news coverage either. To be on the safe side, though, they did finish the trial virtually, and he was sentenced to 18 years in prison and 22 years of probation. While some of his followers have left the group, many are still following him and even repost his old videos and actually post videos of their own about his teaching. The group is actually still active to this day. Ruben's story is linked to Jamal's cult because that is what he had to save his daughter from after the mother ran off with her to be with the cult, and he lost contact with them for 6 years. He met the mother when he was working for his ministry that helped people that was in need. She was recently out of an abusive situation and she was left homeless with her young son. He decided that he was going to help this lady get back on her feet. Well, in the midst of him helping her get back on her feet, they ended up falling in love and she became pregnant with what I believe is his first and only child, because he never mentioned having any more children, and the way he acted, I don't believe anymore is out there. Around the time she was about 6 months pregnant, she just up and left and didn't let anyone know where she was going. After reaching out to the family to no avail, Ruben decided, okay, I gotta turn to the police for some help. But of course, realistically, it could take months and maybe even years for them to even track her down, if they ever is able to track her down. Ruben decided, okay, I'm going to just use my background in tracking down fugitives to see if I can find them myself. Ruben been searching for them for about 2 years at this point before he finally got some answers. Just out the blue, one day she called saying that they were okay. She had a baby girl and even sent him pictures of all the times he done missed out on. He asked her where she was at, but she wouldn't tell him where she was located. But she did get on FaceTime so he could finally meet his daughter. She would start calling like 3 times a week, and Ruben would constantly ask her for her address to send the child gifts. Well, she would always send him like a P.O. box, and he wouldn't accept that. So finally, she gave him an address. After he thought he had got something to find them people, once he put that address in and tracked it down, he realized it was a corner store, and it was somebody who worked there that she knew, probably from the cult. And let me tell you, this girl was really smart about how she handled him, because I believe she remembered that he had a background in finding people, because she was very cautious with him. After a while, she must have felt a little more comfortable with him, and she wanted to share the teachings she'd been learning. Ruben heard all that clone talk and just knew she had done lost her mind, but he would endure through it because he wanted to be able to talk to his child and, hopefully track their ass down. But each time he was unsuccessful because she was using burner phones and she would use like these different FaceTime apps on the internet. One day, Ruben just decided he was going to call the number right back after they done hung up. The person who answered turned out to be her grandmother, and she had an earful to tell him about what this girl had going on. She said that girl had these men coming in and out of her house. They would talk to her crazy in front of the child and trying to take over my home like they own the place. I know how this conversation went, and it went on for a long time, baby. That is a Southern grandmother. And once something that got her hot and bothered and she gets somebody on that phone, baby, you going to be stuck on that phone for a minute. She also said that she went to the police, but they told her the only thing that she can do is just evict them. But Granny looking like, how I'm supposed to evict people that don't live here? He got on the phone with the baby mama, and she started telling him about this cult that she in. So he jumped in the car in hopes to get into his daughter. But unfortunately, by the time he got there, them people was gone. That would be the last time he would hear from her for years. One day, Ruben's baby mother sent him a message on Facebook. She was still on that crazy shit. She was saying how everyone was dead, that his child was a carbon copy with a demon soul, and then slipped up and said there's dead bodies all around her in D.C. Now that I got a location, he went to the courts and was granted an emergency custody order, and he sent it to every school in that district. One day he gets a call and was told the location of the little girl, and the school informed him that it was to their knowledge that he was dead. And obviously the little girl thought so too, because when she walked in that room and saw him, she was frozen in fright. Ruben realized once he got his daughter home how indoctrinated into this cult she was. She never wanted to take showers because that's how you get cloned. She would always be in service to him. Like, he would come home, she would immediately take his shoes off, take his socks off, and he would tell her, no, you don't have to do those things. And she'd be like, yes, you do. This is how a woman's supposed to take care of a man. So he looking like, now what the hell these people had going on? So he decided that he needed to look deeper into this cult because I understand I got my child, but his baby mama still got that little boy. And he don't know what type of danger that boy could be in right now. So he became more vocal online about this group, trying to get it taken down, get the knowledge out there, and he even did a live with Darcel. Now, one thing I did take away from this documentary was when he was explaining that living off grid does not mean living in the woods. It's about not having a stable address so that you cannot be easily tracked down. They could be couch surfing for all we know. Now, I'm going to put a pin in his story because the Missouri 6 he blend into. We're going to talk about Michaela. That's the only one from the missing group that had somebody represent them in this documentary. Michaela was known as a God-fearing woman. She was family-oriented. She was career-driven. And, she had found out she was pregnant, but unfortunately, the father bailed out on her, leaving her to raise the baby alone. But she was all right, though. But then the pandemic hit. And, things got kind of hard, and she moved back in with her mother so that she can get help with the baby. Shortly after having the baby, she was diagnosed with postpartum. Michaela started hanging around her cousin Michaela, who was into spirituality and her rocks and crystals, and it started to pique Michaela's interest. She started to remove herself from the church, and she denounced God. After some time, Michaela gonna get her own place. Everybody was happy for her because we thought, okay, she be coming into herself. But as time went on, they realized this was not a good idea. Her cousin, I want to say her name was Jamesia. I don't remember. But she noticed that the girl had changed her name on social media to this spiritual name. And she stopped wearing deodorant. Now, I really want to know what is the obsession with these cult leaders wanting these people to be funky. And I only seen it in two cults, his and Nature Boy. And the common denominator with that is that these people are black. And black people don't like no funky stuff around them, especially your family member. You will call them out quick to let them know they is musty. I think that's a way to keep them from coming around us so we can talk sense into them. She ended up moving some people into her home and removed herself from the family group chat. And that is a serious offense in the black household. You take yourself out that group chat, somebody going around there to see what's going on. Her cousin, she decided, let me look through her friends on social media for some answers. That's when she came across Rashad Jamal's profile and she started to watch his teachings and she thought this was some crazy shit. She knew right then and there that her cousin had joined the cult. So she went round there to find out what was really going on and talked some sense into her. But she was saying all kind of weird shit like her baby ain't really her baby, that's her sister, and y'all really not my family, y'all are clones. This, unfortunately, will be the last time that they would ever see her again. After a few weeks of not hearing anything from her, they decided to reach out to the police so they could do a welfare check. When the police pulled up to the house, they could tell that them people hadn't been there for weeks. It was like they went to the store and they just never came back. And I don't like how they left that house, how it was looking. You could tell they didn't clean up. And since I wasn't wearing deodorant and washing, I know that house stank. Their concerns increased when they saw that the windows were busted out, its branches with copper wiring wrapped around them. They had the bags of water with pennies in them. And I could have sworn that's the way you keep away mosquitoes, but that just could be me being too dang on country right now. But back to the show, and they saw a cryptic message on the mirror that said, I am that I am. A saying that they will later learn is linked to the teachings of Rashad Jamal's. With no blood samples anywhere in the house, so ain't nobody get killed up in here and they try to clean it up, we're going to figure that this group is still alive. The police will scrub through their social media and they was able to identify the other 4 missing people and that they were all linked to this cult. So Michaela's family would do their own investigation and call the last number that they had of hers. And someone did answer, but didn't say anything before hanging up the phone and disconnecting it. So she was like, let me try the baby iPad because I used to talk to the little girl through the iPad. But the messages wouldn't go through. Investigators will continue to follow their financial records and phone logs until everything just stopped. The last known location is right on the border of Illinois and Missouri. Hearing the charges that Jamal was arrested on, the police could feel the heat at this point. They really needed to find the missing six because there are 2 young children that they have disappeared with, and with them not touching any of their finances, they wonder how would they get by and caring for these children. They worry that sex trafficking could also be in play here. Investigators linked the fact that Rashad Jamal's trial is the same day that this group went missing, so they believe maybe they was heading off to Atlanta to go support him. But then they really started to worry because the day he got sentenced is the last time they used any of their finances. So what if this was like the apocalypse for them? And these people went somewhere and, off themselves, and we have no absolute clue where to even start to look for them. Since finding his daughter, Ruben decided to help others. He found his calling in finding missing children, and he started this social media group, and so far they done found over 300 missing children. Michaela's family saw him online, and they reached out to him one day to see if he could help find her, and told them that she is linked to the University of Cosmic Intelligence, which he became very familiar with, so he decided that he was going to take on that case. Ruben realized that he had more on his hands than he expected. One day, while researching the Missouri Six, his daughter came up and saw the picture of Rashad Jamal, and she identified him as the man that hurt her. She recalls a time that they would have the kids in a room and the man would come in and turn the cartoons that's playing on the TV up real loudly, and she would see them get in bed with one of the little girls. The little girl, she's suffering from PTSD. She would scream out in her sleep that he was coming to get her. She would also talk about the fact that her mom sounded like she was under some type of psychosis because she would be like talking to herself and telling someone to get away from her, but there's nobody there. I don't even want to imagine what this little girl was going through, and I'm just happy her daddy got her, and I really pray somebody get that little boy from that lady too. Hearing what this little girl told him, which he found out is actually more to the story, but she didn't want to tell him because she didn't want to hurt him. He took her to the FBI and they started the investigation. This is an open case still, so that's as much information as we have on that. Since filming, Ruben still has custody of the child, and I'm sure the mama not looking for her. But like I said, I'm concerned about that little boy. The Missouri Six still have not been found, but Ruben is still working hard on the case. And I was really tearing up when Michaela's cousin was mirroring all the good times they had with each other. And I just want Michaela to see this. And if she's still alive, just reach out to the people. And, maybe prayerfully leave whatever situation you got going on right now. Or at least send the baby back. I don't know why these people fall for these dusty ass men online speaking gibberish, but with times still being hard and uncertain, these groups are going to keep popping up. So protect your mind and protect your algorithm so they don't pop up on you. And that's the end of the documentary. Let me know, did y'all know anything about these people? If you enjoyed the content today, make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not did so already. And until next time, bye guys.